Okay, so what we're going to do is we've done inequalities before, right? And we've graphed y is less than x plus 3. And we've used more than one. We've had y is less than x plus 3 and y is greater than 2x minus 5. Okay? And when we graphed them, what did we end up doing? We shaded, right? Okay? Not only did we shade, but we also had to determine whether the line that when we drew the graph, the line in the graph was either going to be dotted or solid, depending on what the equality was. So, if we have one that is just less than or greater than, but now we're going to do it with quadratic functions, okay? If we have just less than or greater than, don't forget, this is a dotted line. And if we have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, then it's going to be a solid line. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to graph quadratic equations, and then we're going to shade them. Okay? So we make it an inequality, so either we're going to shade above or below. How do I know if it's above or below? Okay? We can plug a point in. If it's true, we shade that area. If it's false, we shade the other area. Okay? Or if you remember that if it says, where is it? Shade above when it's greater than or equal to. Shade below when it's less than or equal to. Now, you have two ways to be able to do this. You have a calculator when you're here, and if you have online access at home, then you can get to a calculator there, graphing calculator. Either one will allow you to graph this, but you can also do it by hand. Doing it by hand, we need to do two things. We need to find the vertex and the y-intercept. If we know those two things, we can graph by hand. Okay? Well, the y-intercept is the easy one, right? Positive 10. Okay? So all we need to do is find the vertex. So we need to do negative b over 2a, okay, and use that number to find the y value for the vertex. So x equals the opposite of negative 7 over 2 times 1, which is a positive 7 halves. Oh, I love fractions. Don't you love fractions? Okay. All right. That's negative b over 2a. Right? Finding the axis of symmetry. Remember, that's the x value for the vertex. So the y value then is 7 halves squared minus 7 times 7 over 2 plus 10. So this is 49 over 4 minus 49 over 2 plus 10. Now you can just type that in your calculator, right? If I needed to. Let's see. So you should find that this number is negative 9/4. Okay? And please type it in your calculator. Don't take my word for it. Okay? Find that number. So glad Mr. Coffee's smart, but it doesn't do me a bit of good. You could complete the square also if you wanted to. Yep. You could also factor this one, all right? And wherever the zeros are, the axis of symmetry is halfway between them.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm right? Okay, your calculator verified that? Thank you very much. Okay, so we have our vertex is 7 halves, negative 9 fourths, so that's 3.5 and negative 2 1/4. So 3.5, negative 2 1/4 is about right here. Okay, our y-intercept is 10. So then where's the other point that we can use the graph? Okay, it's 7, 10. Okay? Because it's 3.5 to get to here. So I'm going to go 3.5 the other way, which would put me at 7 and 10. Because your graphs have to be accurate. I mean, even if you just stick that in your y equals, find the vertex and a couple points to graph. Okay? Now, is this going to be a solid or dotted line? Okay, it says y is greater than or equal to, so this is going to be a solid line. Now, I know that we're going to shade inside this parabola, okay? Because it says greater than or equal to. Shading above in this case would be inside of it. Okay? But I'm going to take my favorite point, which is the origin, and I'm going to check it. All right? If it's true for the origin, then I'm going to shade around the outside of the parabola. If it's false, then I'm going to shade on the inside of the parabola. So we will get 0 greater than or equal to 0 squared minus 7 times 0 plus 10. So is 0 greater than or equal to 10? No, it's not. So it's false out here. So then I'm going to shade inside here. Big purple blob. And that would be my answer. Okay? So you're graphing the quadratic function. Solid line if it says greater than or equal to. Dotted line if it says less than or equal to. And then figure out which portion you're going to shade. If it says greater than or equal to, you shade above it. If it says less than or equal to it, you shade below it. Okay? All right. Okay, I'm going to skip number 2 and go to 3. Okay, we're going to solve quadratic equations, quadratic inequalities. Okay? Now, when we make inequalities or solve inequalities with quadratic functions, this is where we're going to end up with 2 dots, and we're either going to shade the area on a number line between them or outside them. So this work is going to be on a number line. Okay? So here's the difference. If there's 2 variables, y and x, okay, you do it on a coordinate plane. So you draw the graph and shade it. If there's only one variable, like this, you do it on a number line. Okay? And we're going to want 3 different answers here. Okay? Compound inequality, I'll show you what that is. Interval notation, all right? Hopefully you remember what interval notation is. Okay? And a graph on a number line. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve this quadratic inequality as if it's an equation, first of all. Because the first thing we want to do is we want to find the zeros. to be able to get this answer, I need to find the zeros. So that means I'm going to set it equal, use the equal sign. Which means now I have to I can either complete the square or get it equal to 0 and hopefully factor it. Okay, so I'm going to add 3, and hopefully this is something I can factor. All right, so I added 3 to both sides. Can we factor that? Factors of 21 that add up to 10. 7 and 3, okay? So I have x minus 7 and x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals 7 or 3, right? Okay, so here's what we do then. Our next step is to make a number line. And on my number line, I need less than or equal to, open dots or solid dots? Okay. Solid dots, just like solid line, would be solid dots. So what? 3, oops, I guess I better label this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure you have at least one number on each side of the numbers you're doing. Okay? So we have 3 and 7 with solid dots. Now, how do I know whether I shade between them or outside of them? Okay? That sign will help us, but we're better off checking a number just to make sure. Okay, so what's our favorite friend if we're not using it? 0. Okay, so we go back to the original. 0 squared minus 10 times 0 plus 18. Is that less than or equal to negative 3? Is 18 less than or equal to negative 3? And the answer is no. Okay, so that's a no. So then I'm going to shade the area between them. Okay. Now, most of the time I already knew that because it said less than, okay, and equal to. All right, so I knew it was going to be a connector. So here's the number line answer. Interval notation. Oops. If it includes it, it's a bracket. Okay, don't forget that. If it includes its brackets, which means that x is greater than or equal to 3, less than or equal to 7. So number line, interval notation, compound inequality. I want you to give me all 3 of them. Okay? All right, all 3 of them.